Welcome. Good morning. I'm going to do much of the service within earshot of my computer. You may not know this, but I have been teaching the UUA and others how to do closed captioning on your tablets or phones. The ushers have a QR code that you can scan. It'll take you to Zoom, and you can watch. Or if you're home and you're watching on your computer screen, but you want to know that if you've missed a word or two, you can glance down and say, oh, that's what Bob said. And 99% of the time, it is what Bob said. And sometimes it's funny and it makes up its own ideas. So it's running right now. The reason why I have to stand here is because it keeps stopping. So I have some announcements this morning for you all. One, of course, is the congregational meeting follows this service. I have been told that you will be able to have enough time to use a bathroom. But you can't get coffee or cookies. So we'll just come on right on back in. The other announcements I have, and I know Sandy asked me special permission to announce her service next Sunday. And so come here, Sandy, next Sunday, who's been part of the class, people learning to fill the pulpit. And Sandy's jumping in next week. So come in and support her. And the topic is around grief. The following week, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary. You may have noticed that I asked in the newsletter if you would send in a positive memory of this place. What inspired you about this place? What transformed you about this place? What gives you hope from what you got out of this place? And I have received. So we have a congregation that has never been inspired, never been glad to have this place here. So, so I am hoping again that some of you will send it in and that you'll come and attend. The mayor will be here to honor us in reaching our 25th year. And it's basically a worship service. Not a huge thing, but afterwards is a picnic, and there is a sign-up sheet. Maybe we can put that slide up, Doug. There is a sign-up sheet in the lobby. We are partnering with one of the community organizations that we have supported over the years, the Rainbow Alliance. They are helping us. One of them is bringing a grill. It would be helpful to have more than one grill, but the Rainbow Alliance is bringing a grill. We'll need to know from you if you're coming so we can start knowing how many burgers and hot dogs and things that we should have available for the picnic. Because it's also our way of showing our mission. It's not just all of us sit around and eat food and cut cake, and we will cut cake and enjoy food and each other, but it's not just us sitting around saying, isn't it great we've reached 25 years? Instead, isn't it great that we have a mission and a connection in the society, and there is no pride celebration in Brevard? And so we partnered with Rainbow Alliance and said, how about we have a pride picnic? So all LGBTQ folks are invited, and all of the allies are invited. So we're living our mission into our next 25 years. Thank you for considering coming and signing up to help us with that. I know there are other things that are important, but please read your newsletters and keep up with what's going on, because I just am too busy to know what we're doing here. So we have some candles. now, and let's see if I can. Let me. Michael's going to help us get the candles going, and I will read from those that have been submitted to me. One, a candle from Glenn Cockrum. His mother passed away earlier this morning. And so he asked that we light a candle of joy for a life well lived and a sorrow for her absence tomorrow. I also asked for a candle for my father-in-law, Fritz, who had been released from the hospital and then a day later went back to the emergency room from the nursing home. And so our healing thoughts going out to him and Georgia and Christy, who's there at his bedside. We have a candle from Jane Hilliard, a candle of care and quick recovery as she is going into surgery tomorrow. So Jane Hilliard going into surgery. And then a candle of joy. Jane Hilliard said she talked to Katie and Jesse Gwynn, who are settled near Cherokee and have property for a garden, and they were excited about that. Now let's light a candle for things that have not been shared here yet, perhaps in the hearts of those who are online, those in this room. Let's remember the glow of these candles and the times in which we do share with each other help us weave the fabric of community. I now ask if you will turn to one another and greet each other in their worth and dignity.
Well, good morning. It's so good to have you here on annual meeting day. And we know that you'll all stay and participate in that very important meeting. The opening words today are from Barbara Hamilton Holway. And she says, "We gather here as individual people, young and old, male and female, temporarily able and disabled, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and straight people, all the colors of the human race, theist, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, feminist, humanist. We gather here as a community of people who are more than categories. We gather here each ministering to each other, meeting one another's strengths. Encouraging wholeness. We give thanks for this extraordinary blessing, the gathering together of separate, unique individuals as one whole, one body, our church. Here may our minds stretch, our hearts open, our spirits deepen. Here may we acknowledge our brokenness and be ever stirred by love's infinite possibilities. Come, let us worship together." And now, as you are willing or able, please stand for our opening hymn. That was lively. Will you join me now as we do the chalice lighting in unison? These words are from the UUA Leadership Council, and they were released and assigned at chalice lighting in May of 2009. The words are on the screen. With humility and courage born of our history, we are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all ours are welcome as blessings, and the human family lives whole and reconciled. With this vision in our hearts and minds, we light our chalice.
I invite Kristen Leisman to come forward. We're going to be inviting the new members. Come on up here so everybody can hear and see you. Yeah.
It's my pleasure this morning to welcome and receive and introduce to you, if you haven't already met them, the new members who have joined since our last recognition ceremony. And we want to honor their interest and their participation. They went through the orientation, and they have taken the steps to sign our sacred little book. And we appreciate and welcome their continued presence in this Unitarian Universalist congregation. It warms my heart that you want to be among us. Thank you. So I'm going to name the following people and ask you to come up, please, and right here and join Reverend Bob. If I have missed someone who is here unexpectedly or is just somehow off the list, just come on up anyway if you've never done this before. Mary Law and Catherine Kitchens Law, please join us. Patricia and Rick Lawless, no relation to the Laws. Beth Klaus, Susan Mosley. If I'm saying your name wrong, please correct.
Go ahead and line up across.
Karen.
Or Mo.
Karen.
Or Mo.
Or Mo.
Oh,
Name's Mo.
or Mo. Or Mo. Karen or Mo. Okay. Wow, okay, Karen. Karen Kitchens Law. And finally, Dean Holcomb. Are you here, Dean? Okay. Well, if you come in late, just come on in. We also have a few new members that you will not meet today because they couldn't be here, and we will have them go through this with us another time, next time. So I would like to now, even though you have your backs to me, I am going to be addressing myself to you. I want to tell you that sometimes, many of us have had this experience. We walk into this UU congregation and we say to ourselves, wow, I found my people. And you move from there into this, perhaps a false belief that everyone here has the right perspectives and the good opinions and wisdom. But if you haven't figured it out yet, we're really a collection of individuals, and we're a very diverse group, really. So Reverend Bob bids you to enjoy your disillusionments about us early in your experience, because we know we couldn't possibly live up to everything that such an initial platitude might suggest, or even be perfect in honoring our 7 principles all the time. Sometimes we get things wrong. But the real strength of this congregation is when we retain our individual visions and continue to be the diverse and interesting set of collection of individuals that we are. That is when we can really be great. That's when it takes us where we are into our future, and we can nurture, educate, and lead others and ourselves to be our very best. So each of you has a perspective that is unique. No one is going to be like you, and we welcome that. If you recall from your orientation class, we talked about the Transylvania in Eastern Europe. And in that spirit, I would like to put forward to you the idea that was attributed to that preacher, Francis David, of the 1500s in Eastern Europe of Transylvania. We need not think alike to love alike. I'd like to ask Susan to join me now. We have something for you. It's a little token. Our chalice pin. I'm wearing mine in your honor today. The two circles in the pin represent, one is Unitarianism and the other is Universalism. And you'll see a 3D version of our symbol right here in our chalice. So we hope you will wear it proudly, and anytime you need to be reminded that you belong to a community that it welcomes everyone, wear it. We're going to ask the congregation to join in welcoming you, and there's going to be some words on, it's a responsive reading. We bid you welcome. It's written by Reverend Richard S. Gilbert. If you have a hymnal, it's in number 442 in the hymn book. We bid you welcome, who come with weary spirit, seeking rest, who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come on earth and are afraid. We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart, who come with anticipation in your step, who come with proud and joyous. We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith, who come to probe and explore, who come to learn. We bid you welcome, who enter this hall as homecoming, who have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family. Whoever you are, wherever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. So before you return to your seats, Reverend Blob has a blessing for you.
May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your hearts know love. And may the work of your hands be blessed all the days of your life.
Welcome.
This is a generous congregation. We know that we exceeded our pledge goal. We know that we have funded, as the new members learned in their classes, over $20,000 of grants over the past few years to area organizations. We know that this congregation time and again gives. This is the one moment during the week in which we remind you of that generosity of spirit and ask that you give of your time, talent, and treasure. We will now receive the morning offering. What is given in love we receive with great joy. Thank you. Ushers, if what just happened, what we think just happened, the brand new bulb that we bought for that projector that lasted 2 weeks may have just blown out. So we will need teal hymn books before the closing hymn. Otherwise, it's a disaster. I invite you into this time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of love and life, we who are gathered here this morning know the wonder and the beauty of getting to see, to perceive, to really begin to understand the different people that we run into. The joy and the frustration of being in community together. Spirit of love and life. This is one of the most wondrous things, to know that we are interconnected, that we need one another, that we are not alone. And in knowing that we are not alone, we also have our hearts go out to those who may be facing surgeries or recoveries from surgery. In particular, this morning, that includes Christy Renjilian's father, Fritz, and Jane Hilliard, who's facing surgery tomorrow. Our hearts grieve for those we have lost, those who have been memorialized in services here in the last few weeks, those whose deaths are fresh in our minds. In particular, this morning we lift up the memory of Glenn Cockram's mother, who passed away. We miss as well those who have been part of our community and have moved on. May we rejoice with Katie and Jesse Gwynn, who have found a new home with land to grow their food. And though we miss them, may we be joyous for all that they are enjoying in life. These prayers of our hearts and the meditations of our minds we hold now in the silence. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen. Blessed be.
The choir is going to sing an anthem this morning now that is entitled, O Love. O love that will not let me go. The second verse is, O joy that seeks my heart through pain. We, the choir, sang this for the memorial service for one of our members who died recently, Pamela Zapata. And we sing it for you now. We feel and hope that you share this with us, that what it's all about in this congregation is love. And the love that we share with each other and with others brings us joy. O love that will not let me go, by Elaine Hagenberg.
from the book from our Unitarian Universalist Press, Beacon Press, just came out this fall, Loving Our Own Bones, Disability Wisdom and the Spiritual Subversiveness of Knowing Ourselves Whole. Julia Watts Belser. Julia Watts Belser is self-described as a passionate queer Jewish feminist, as a proud disabled Jew, as a white person committed to disrupting white supremacy, and all the interlocked structures of inequality that drive our world and ways of being. This is from chapter 13. It's called God on Wheels. Several years ago, I was sitting in a synagogue one Shavuot morning, listening to the reader chant the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel. Shavuot is the Jewish holiday that celebrates the giving of the Torah, a holiday marked by the recitation of one of the most vivid visions of God in the Hebrew Bible. It's a vision that comes from the prophet Ezekiel, an intense young priest who lived through the destruction of Jerusalem, when the Babylonian army poured into the holy city and set it ablaze. The conquering army set fire to the Jerusalem temple. They desecrated the altar where Ezekiel and his fellow priests used to offer sacrifice. They destroyed the sacred places where the people had sung and chanted and gathered with their God. They turned the sanctuary to rubble, the stones to ruin. Ezekiel was part of the ragged group of elite and aristocrats that the Babylonian general forced into exile. A deliberate strategy designed to subjugate and dominate the conquered kingdom and crush resistance. I imagine Ezekiel walking beside the other captives, the memory of that smoke stinging his face like shame. Zeke is 25 years old. His world turned to ash. By the banks of the Kebar River in the land now called Iraq, he opens up to prophecy. And Ezekiel sees his God. He sees God as a radiant fire, carried on a vast chariot, lifted up by 4 angelic creatures. The chariot itself is barely described, except for one extraordinary feature: its vast, vibrant wheels. The wheels are what grabbed me when I first heard this passage chanted. The wheels are what opened my heart. Sitting in synagogue that Shavuot morning, I felt the recognition shiver down my bones. God has wheels. When I think of God on wheels, I think of the delight that I take in my own wheelchair, the satisfaction I find in my own disabled life. My wheels set me free and open up my spirit. I draw powerful, sensual joy in tandem with my chair, the way her tires grip into asphalt or concrete, the way I lean into a curve and flow down a gentle grade, the way I feel the twinned vibration of earth and wheel through the soles of my shoes or the balls of my feet. My sense of spirit is bound up with this bone-deep body knowledge, the way flesh flows into frame, into tire, into air. This is how the holy moves through me, in the interplay of muscle and spin, the exhilarating physicality of body and wheel. This recognition of God on wheels is the ground of a powerful theological claim that God knows disability experience from the inside out. It's an affirmation that God knows and shares the pleasure of disability, and that God also knows the shape of its pain, its loneliness, its frustrations, and loss. So I picked this sermon topic when this book was offered to those of us serving the Unitarian Universalist Association's board in credentialing religious leaders within our movement. It is the Religious Educators Credentialing Committee I serve on. And we are diving into being open and advocating for the inclusion of everyone in our leadership. This will be a topic of our General Assembly in June as well, something to learn from, learn of. I think of the fact that throughout time I have seen folks who gather into affinity groups, and they will have women's spirit groups, men's spirituality groups, that we will have affinity groups for people of color, that we know deep in our own bones that our experience of the world and the way the world reacts to us, our culture reacts to us, shapes, misshapes our sense of dignity, worth, value in the world, whether or not we are considered whole and worthy. And this book goes deeply into this, especially into the subversiveness of disability in our midst. I remember something from my childhood and an explanation of people from other lands who came to the United States during a time when mainstreaming was beginning to become more accepted. Those of you who remember, there have been times in our history in which disability is supposed to be hidden, and everybody would conspire to hide it. Those of you who were born or grew up during Roosevelt's 4 terms, or nearly 4 terms in the presidency, know that the Secret Service would put up a screen to show them carrying him out of the car until he could then go past the screen and find a way to make it on his own to wherever the next place was he could then be relieved of strain on his polio-weakened limbs. He would be carried to the edge of a stage where no one could see so that he might come across to a podium. Our country in later decades began to say, no, we're all here. And I preached a sermon not too long ago about the difference between equality and equity, and talked about curb cuts and walk signals that would chirp or make squirrel chattering noises in Brevard, or whatever, so that folks who might otherwise need assistance in crossing the street had accommodation. Well, back to biblical readings, what this rabbi, Julia Watts Belcher, finds is that people will say, oh, tell us about disabled people in the Bible. She says, as if we need to be proof texted into worth. But she does share some stories. She says from Leviticus, Leviticus 19:14 says, do not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. A biblical injunction. Isaiah speaks of God's power healing those with disabilities, fixing them, she says. But this means that ability was centered as the highest state. So she does not like the way Isaiah talks about it. That somehow we'll know when God has come because the lame will walk, the deaf will hear, the mute will speak. But she relates a story that was from another rabbi who said a child in the religious school in the synagogue was told by the teacher, you know, when everybody goes to heaven, they will be able to hear and participate. And the child said, no, when I die and go meet God, God will know sign language. The prophet Jeremiah was a little bit better, she says. Prophet Jeremiah stated it this way, she says, that God will bring all the people in, the blind and the lame among them, on a level road on which they shall not stumble. That fits the kids' idea of it. And some of you may also know the story of Moses. God, burning bush and everything, says, Moses, you're going to lead the people. And Moses says, I can't. They won't listen to me. I have trouble speaking. Now, oftentimes that's translated as some kind of speech impediment like a stutter. It translates directly as a heavy tongue. So it may be slow to create the words. So God says, okay, we're going to get you accommodation. Kind of like if you go to a doctor's office and they say you speak a different language, okay, let us know. We'll make sure we have somebody on the phone or the internet who will translate for you. God says, we'll have your brother do the speaking, but you still lead. Our perspectives in life are made more whole by understanding and seeing the people around us. We really don't have to cover up that one of our leaders may not be able to walk. We really don't have to cover up that some of the most articulate folks in our world must use ways of typing to get what they say across to us of their wisdom. We can see the beauty in others. And yet, I have to watch my vocabulary because it's not the word see, it's perceive. It's perceive the worth and wonder of all who are around us. Somebody in my cohort entering ministry, Reverend Suzanne Fast, is a community minister focusing on disability justice, advocacy, education, pastoral ministry, primarily through Equal Access, which is a UU group. In fact, equal is spelled E-Q-U-U-A-L, access, in ways to help us. She says, more often than not, I'm told if something is said like I just said, oh, we can see this. We need to change the words in our worship and our relations. She says, more often than not, I'm told, it's just a metaphor, get over it. Or not to be so thin-skinned, which is itself an ableist metaphor. The formulation of pushback is telling, you're too sensitive. Or I didn't mean it like that. Or oops, I wasn't politically correct. Those are classical taglines of microaggression. When your siblings in faith don't perceive this as a real problem and that they're erasing your lived experience, it is a big deal. And if it's just a metaphor, then find a different one. She may have said it more politely than that, but I'd rather say it that way. Find a different one. We are all blessed all of us. No matter our skin color, no matter the way in which we communicate, accents that we have, issues and difficulties that we were born with, or, I was told once, Bob, you're temporarily able. And as I get older, there are parts of my body saying, temporary. We do not become less whole as accidents, falls, diseases, or the slow decline of body changes the way in which we navigate our society. We become differently able. I think I've said before the story in here of a metaphor of accepting diversity and diversity of perception from one another. The story of the blind man and the elephant, and each has a certain feel. Oh, this is like a great wall, or no, this is like a great trunk as they feel around the leg, or no, this is like a vine or a rope hanging down as they feel the tail. None of those people started out blind. Why do I know this? Because blind folks would say, this smells like some big animal. Because each of us has become so reliant on the abilities we have, we don't use our other senses to their fullest extent. So whenever you hear that story, oh yes, we all have a different perception of the world, like the blind folks and the elephant, it's like, yeah, folks, use your nose and you'll know. Use your ears if you need to. Taste, touch, somehow let your own self perceive the world from time to time in ways like a trust walk, where someone leads you, if you're used to seeing, leads you with a blindfold. Or a music appreciation teacher who says, no, please listen to this symphony in a dark room. Let it flow through you. Or literally feel the speaker's vibrations, if this isn't what's going to do it for you. It is amazing when we realize how diverse and varied human beings are, how adaptable we are to our circumstances, how wondrous it is when we not only get acceptance, but are encouraged to thrive each in our own way. Our mission of this congregation talks to us about finding our spiritual paths and bringing attention to justice in this world. And so this topic, at the end of my preaching on pluralism, this topic was to get us to look in another place. That depending on where we've been in society or where we are now, we might have known all along, or have hidden away, or just wished the minister had even once said something about the wholeness of all of us with these words. Thank you for listening. Our closing hymn is in the Teal hymn book, and we better have them in your hands because this is a challenging one. Even if the words were on the screen, this is new to you. And things that are new to us are hard for us. And the choir practiced it this morning, and they're going to help us. And I'm going to sing, and I'm going to help you. But please use every ability that you have to make a joyful noise. And notice I didn't say sing. I said make a joyful noise with this final hymn, number 1057. 1057, Go Lifted Up. Blessings on all of you. No matter how you move about in this world, may the way in which you connect to the holy, to the world around you, thrill throughout your bones. You are real. You are worthy. You are loved. And what you bring to this world is needed for the survival of us all. Thank you. We will not extinguish our chalice, but we will listen to the postlude and then do what we need to do before coming back to our seats to vote in the congregational meeting.